Are you ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Tool to Play presents Still Got Game with Derek D. Smooth Nolan and Joel Dude I Rock Albert.
This episode of Still Got Game is brought to you by GoDaddy. Hey now, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Still Got Game, episode 287. Still Got Game's official podcast of ToolToPlay.com. I am, as always, Derek D. Smooth Nolan.
And I am Joel Dude I Rock Albert.
What's going on, Joel Dude I Rock Albert, my friend?
Not much, buddy.
Yeah, we're coming off a week vacation.
Yeah. Week vacation and then double podcast, I guess.
Yes, yeah, we'll get to it in a little bit. But yeah, despite this is the first you're seeing of us, Jay and I did a little cameo last night on a different podcast. And it was actually, we might as well just jump and cover that right now.
Yeah.
We were on the Everyday Gamers podcast last night. It is not live for all of you yet, but it is an episode that I would recommend you all go listen to because we talked about the past future and the future history of Too Old to Play. We covered a lot of shit.
Yeah, we really did.
Yeah, it was. I don't know why we decided to have all our reveals on someone else's show.
I know. It was like I guess the quiet just flowed naturally. And it was like, once you get into the history and the nostalgia, it was like the most nostalgic show anyone could ever watch.
Yeah.
It's weird when someone asks you a question because then you just go with it. But when we're on our own show, we have our own schedule, we have our own things to talk about. We tend to not wax poetic on our own things. We don't care.
Yeah, we're not patting ourselves on the back.
Yeah.
All the time, but
Right.
they were plenty happy to pat us on the back, and we were plenty happy to talk about Too Old to Play. So we definitely covered the entire history of Too Old to Play and what's going on in the future. So once again, it's the Everyday Gamers podcast. If you're watching us live tonight on Twitch, it is not up yet as of just before us coming on live here. But they said they should have it up tonight or tomorrow. So by the time if you're a YouTube person or listening to the podcast, which is what they have also, there's no video. So if you're going to listen to their podcast, it'll be up and live definitely by the time you're listening to this on Wednesday. But it was a good time. We had a good time with those guys. Great guys. Meef J, Too Old to Play member. He's obviously has his own community there now, and we had a good time talking to those guys.
Yeah, it's really nice to have other people from the community that have branched out and sort of done their own thing. And that's a big part of what we talk about on the show is the branching out and doing your own thing and how that connects with Tool to Play and all that other stuff. So it's definitely a really great one to watch.
Yep.
Or listen to in this case because we
Yes.
did no video. But yeah.
Check it out. It was very relaxing doing audio for
It is, man.
To go
It's
back
such
to
a-
audio after doing video all the time. it was
Holy crap.
sit back, get relaxed, stretch out.
I'm like boxers, feet up. I've got a cigar I'm drinking.
yeah, there's no pressure.
Fantastic.
But I cannot make a point enough that it is a key episode. If any of you out there are fans of our show or Tool to Play members that just want to learn either some history or what's going on with the site, I don't know if we can ever put into words as finely as what we did last night. So
No. We might need to record that our portions and release that as our sort of explanation of everything that we've done and what we're doing. That might it was that good, I think.
Yeah, maybe I'll check with those guys and see if we can just link to their pull their shit right into our feed.
Yeah. That would be kind of nice actually. Yeah.
Yeah, and that way it would pop up for everybody that subscribes. You'd all have it in your feeds, and it would still pull down. They would get their numbers or whatever
Yeah.
show. But definitely, it's something that you should check out.
For sure.
All right, and I guess on that, why don't we jump into feedback from last week's show, which is actually 2 weeks ago's show. Remember, if you want to leave us a voicemail, it will cut you off after a minute. Victorina comments. I was watching the video for episode 286 and saw my comment from episode 40. Thanks for the shout out, guys. LOL. Well, that's only because our producer is insanely baked all the time. There's no other way to explain why a comment from not even the previous show, but multiple shows back showed up in 2 subsequent episodes of the show. I can't even explain it myself.
I think the file got renamed and there were some mishaps over there at the production studio out there in Canada. The wires in Canada got crossed when they made it over the border to the US and we went back in time.
When you combine massive amounts of herb and Canadian wiring, oh my God, there's no telling what you're going to get.
No, you're going to get a whole different experience.
Yeah, and it was definitely different. But I'm glad you saw that. I don't know how long it was actually on the screen for. I only ended up seeing it for a split second because we're always behind on the live video here. But yeah, it was definitely up there for at least a fraction of a second, and I'm glad you caught it. And I'm glad you posted another comment. And hopefully, what's showing up in tonight's episode is actually your comment from tonight and not your comment from episode 40.
Yeah.
But only time will tell.
No pressure.
No pressure, Hit. Make sure you do the right shit, buddy. All right, next up, Nubular Comments. I found your show recently during your Destiny Key giveaways. I've started to work through a bunch of your recent episodes. I love the show. I wish that there was more content like this out there for gamers. I do too. Yeah, there's definitely not enough of people doing what we do. It's not. I'm not tuning our horn. I'm not saying we do it the best. Well, we probably do it the best, but that's because I just have this massive ego. But there's probably somebody out there that could do it better than us. But I don't see a lot of this format show where people are. You see this a lot in podcast form, but not in video form where. We have this production value. We have all the shit behind us. We got that fucking box here, and I think Jay's over there. Maybe he's over there, and we got the thing up here. We got the chat down here sometimes. Hit does a great job with our production. Doing it in a video format is definitely something you don't see often, and I would like to see more of this stuff because it's fun to watch. It's fun to see the people behind the voices, and I would like to see more of this content too.
Yeah, and I think if you listen to other podcasts, that's really the goal. That's what we're going to try to do. Mm-hmm. Try to get more awesome older gamer content out there for more people to see. Discover. Find new stuff.
Yep. Yeah. Yes. There's nothing wrong with recommending someone else's stuff. We recommend stuff all the time. So
yeah, we do. Yeah, I mean, it's really nice to finally have a voice on for video and stuff like that, like you were saying. But there still is value in podcasting and other things like that too. So
that's all I listen to in the car. It's really hard to watch videos in the car.
Yeah, you're not going to watch video in the car. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
All right. And last but not least, Pitchforked Comments. New listener, first-time commenter. I've never laughed so hard during a podcast than I have during some of the crazier moments of the past 3 shows that I've listened to. I'm now a listener for life. Thanks.
Well, now you got to get on the live stream. This is my thing, because I feel like everyone that loves the show, if you could find the time, and I know we're probably a little late for most people, which is something we're eventually going to rectify, but it's really nice to get everyone on the actual live show and chatting and stuff like that.
Yeah, so. Stuff goes on in chat here that never makes it to.
Yeah,
it doesn't transfer to the audio format very well.
Right.
It shows up in, even if we're not talking about it, it shows up in the YouTube version on that video. But
yeah,
a lot of the stuff in chat is lost on people that listen to the podcast version. I know that's still the bulk of our audience because that's where we cultivated you, and we're not going to alienate you. We will always have the show in podcast form because for a lot of people that's how you like to consume this media. But
yeah, and again, you're not going to be in your car watching. A lot of people do this as a work transit thing. So
yep. Or even listen at work.
Bulk of it. Yeah, or even at work. It's nice to just pop headphones on. You actually want to do work instead of just sitting there and watching video, which I don't recommend if you want to keep your job. So it's a nice thing to do. You just sort of pop on the headphones, listen to what we have to say, which is always fantastic, and then go about your day.
But if you do find yourself free on a Monday night at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific, hop on. Just check us out. Gotcha. You can even do it on the Xbox.
Yeah.
I would definitely recommend it. All right. Well, if any of feedback like this, give us a call, 773-527-2961, or email us at podcast@tooltoplay.com. And in site-related news, we kind of already talked about it. Just touch again briefly. This week, check out the Everyday Gamers podcast. The latest, their episode, I think it's not up yet, but it has Tooled in the name. I think it's Tooled to Podcast.
Yeah, I think it's
something like that. But when it does go live, it is something you want to listen to, and you will learn more from that show, that particular episode of someone else's show, than you've learned from any Tool to Play direct media in a long time.
However, following that, sooner rather than later, we're going to have something me and Derek have been shooting around and sent to Hitman and a bunch of other people to review, is sort of our written down version of that, or explanation of that, coming within the next, I would say, week or so. I would hope.
Yeah, like our mission statement.
Our mission statement, yeah. What we're planning on doing for the future. So, yep. But yeah, listen to that, and then hopefully in the next week or two we'll get something else out that you guys can sort of tell us if we're crazy or not on.
Basically. Exactly. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess on that, Jay, why don't we hop on over into what we're playing? What have you been playing this week Joel Dude I Rock Albert.
I mean, I had a busy gaming week. We talked about this before, but I had a crazy week. I played Destiny. I played Smite. I've played, I've done a couple betas. Arc is a beta that's coming from the guys that did Rift, Tryon and those guys up there. So I've had a busy week. And then, of course, me and Hitman, if you guys didn't watch, it was spectacular to watch me fail. We did have our Mario Kart 8 series on Monday last week, which was a blast. And Hit invited in one of his buddies, and it was a total ringer and just destroyed us. I mean, it was like I had to team up with Hit to try to take him out. Like the whole goal was that me and Hit were going to battle, but it was like, no, we got to battle this one guy, and we still failed.
So that's what Hit does. He's always in the ringers.
It was good, man. Like, it was actually a lot of fun because I realized how much I actually need to play this game to actually be good at it.
Yeah.
I had this idea that I would just, jump on and be amazing. Which generally works out fine for me.
You kind of did taunt that.
Well, I just like to
taunt.
It was
in the last episode, yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, I've never played, but I'll kick your ass. No matter what happens. You're going to be schooled. Whatever you say.
We're going to do it again. I think I would like to try to make it a regular thing and get more racers on. It's hard because only 4 people in the world own a Wii U.
Yeah.
So the pool that we're pulling from is quite shallow.
And the networking blows. And the
networking does it. We did have, 2 or 3 DCs, I think, right, Ed, or something like that? Yeah. So it's fun, though. It's fun.
Nice.
I did lose to bots. Blue Steel is pointing out that I lost to bots. That is totally accurate.
It's so sad.
It is very sad. It was a sad thing.
It happens, but bots cheat.
Bots are cheating.
They always have.
I can't compare to a computer. I can't do that.
No, if you're coming up on a bot, you're always like, barely getting there. But meanwhile, you blow by them and you have the smallest little skid out, and all of a sudden they're all right there back behind you.
Yeah, where are they coming from?
Yeah, it's
they all got blue shells. They all got red shells. I'm getting bananas. I'm in 6th place with bananas.
Yep, it's bullshit.
It's ridiculous.
Bullshit. So yes.
So that was my week. A lot of gaming.
Nice. I didn't do a whole lot of gaming. Obviously, vacation week, so we were down in Virginia for a wedding, and then North Carolina, South Carolina amusement parks, back up through Pennsylvania, hit Hershey shit there, and then back home. And all I managed to pull in was a little of the Destiny beta before we headed out. The end of the Xbox One Destiny beta. Played some Titanfall, and in my spare time down in North Carolina, played a lot of Hearthstone. But I did some water skiing, which I hadn't done.
I saw that video.
Yeah, I hadn't done that in like 20 years, and I fucking busted that shit out first try. Literally, I hadn't done it since college.
Did you do well? I couldn't really tell in the video.
No, I did well.
Wait, were you tubing in the video? I think you were tubing, right?
Oh yeah, the video. That tube was insane. So there were some tubing videos that came out where I was 7 or 8 feet in the air in a tube upside down, and that was painful. But the actual water skiing stuff I did fairly well at. So I was proud of myself. It was fun. Good shit.
It looked good.
Yeah.
I do love water skiing. I never get a chance to do it anymore. We used to have a lake up north we used to go. I bet you I'd probably eat shit if I
That's how I went into it. I kept saying, I'm not getting up. I'm not getting up. And then all of a sudden, I'm fucking up. And I was like, I got this shit. Then the next time, and then the first time I got up, and after 15, 20 seconds, I was like, I'm up. What do I do now? And then I started to fuck around, and then I instantly wiped out. But then after that, I managed to maintain my runs a little longer. I was going outside the wake, coming back in. Yeah, it's a good time. It's definitely something I recommend. Any of you out there that only sit in front of your screens all the time, get out there on some water and do some water shit.
Get on a lake.
Yeah, it's fun. It's relaxing. It wets you down, keeps you cool. It's somewhat exercise. Granted, there's a boat pulling you, but you still feel like you're using some muscles. So definitely recommend it.
I should.
All right. Well, I know it's been a slow week for current gen new releases, but I guess on that, why don't we hop on over into the new releases, Jay? First new release out this week is a multi-platform release, and it's out for the 360 and the PS3, and it's Ultra Street Fighter 4. This is the retail release of Ultra Street Fighter 4 that was released back in June as paid DLC for Super Street Fighter 4. So if you had Super Street Fighter 4 on these consoles, you could have picked this up then, and it kind of upgraded you to this. But now this is your disc version release of this, and it's priced competitively. Maybe it's 40, 50, whatever. It's not $60, whatever it is. It's basically Super Street Fighter 4 with 5 new characters and 6 new stages in it. you wait out if you really fucking love this game that much, if that's enough for you. It also brings on some new mode selection stuff, so you can actually pick from the main menu which type of the 8 billion Street Fighter varieties there are, and you can pick which one you want to play. And there were a few minor changes to the fighting mechanics because as they bring in these new characters and stuff, they have to do rebalancing, and they changed up the way you can like store up your power, or you can do your combos and all this other shit. But the one thing I learned about these games is as much as I like to play them with friends that don't play them, like we all don't play them and then we play them and have a good time, when you play against someone that actually knows these games, I suck and I hate them.
Yeah, if I'm not like paired up against a fellow button masher, I don't want to play.
No, exactly.
And then at that point with two button mashers, it's really just like, it's random. It's like this random set of events that gets set into motion and someone will eventually win and the other person will be pissed.
It's either random or whoever tires out first. You're just like, my thumb is fucking cramping.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yes.
I'm not really into that type of game. Like I still like Mortal Kombat more. I've always been, that's like part of my, if I'm going to play a fighting game, that's what it is. I've never been a super Street Fighter fan, but the one thing about Street Fighter is I probably wouldn't even matter what the price of this is because Street Fighter fans are fanatics. So like I have a buddy, a couple of people might know him on the site. His name is Ytex. He'd for sure get a game like this because he was always into Street Fighter. And they'll go out and they'll get the huge arcade sticks. They won't do like a regular controller. They're super into it, and that's like their gig. So if you like Street Fighter, and I'm sure if you do, you already know about this game, you're probably going to buy it. But it still is a rehash of a rehash that was rehashed when they rehashed it, right?
Yep.
So
exactly.
if you're into that, go for it. If not get a new system, maybe like a 1 or a PS4.
Yep. Exactly.
All right.
Well, the other new release out this week is also out for last-gen platforms, the 360, the PS3, and the PC, and it is Sacred 3. This is the third game in the hack and slash brawler series, Sacred. Then it's the first one of these games that's being done by Deep Silver, who we know from Dead Island and the Saints Row, the most recent Saints Row game. After the previous studio shut down, Deep Silver picked up the property that was in progress, and it kind of shows that there was some work done by Deep Silver and some done by the previous studio. Despite featuring some gameplay enhancements that Deep Silver added to the game, the game's a little bit lackluster. It does feature 4-player online co-op, which is a big plus, but that may or may not outweigh the shortcomings to the game. It's been getting marginal reviews in the mid-6s, but if you're still a last-gen person and you're looking for a nice multiplayer hack and slash game you can play with a bunch of buddies, and you're looking for something that's not $60 because it's only $50, maybe this is for you. Or if you're just someone that like the Sacred games. But considering the work that Deep Silver did to fix the last developer stuff, I would assume the last ones must have sucked, unless the story was so good. I never played any of these games. But
yeah, this is what always shocks you about game development is you hear horror stories of the last two. I don't know anyone that's played the series at all. Where do they get the money to even make Sacred 3? And why are they making Sacred 3? Why? What is the reason?
Yeah, they probably had like $20 left. They're like, Sacred 3, we're on. And they're like, oh, we're out of money. All right, who wants to buy us? Oh, Deep Silver. Okay, cool. Here's what we worked on so far. And it's like some ASCII art and like a Cracker Jack box that they scratched in like some rough game design on. But
exactly. It's like they had plaster of Paris that they were using to make models because they didn't have any 3D modeling systems.
Yeah, that's how you do it sometimes. You're like, we're going to scan these in later. And by scan, we don't mean like 3D scan. We mean like we're going to rub a hand scanner on them and then try to piece all that together.
Yeah, they take like plaster impressions and then photograph them.
Exactly.
That's the work they do.
Definitely not the highest tier game, but if you're last gen, you got to expect shit. That's what you get for staying last gen.
That's your fault at this point.
Your own fault. Fuck you off.
Yeah,
that's what you get. Yeah, upgrade, step up to the plate, step up to the mic. Micatin. All right, that was not a commercial for Micatin, by the way. I'm not even sure if they still make a product, but
I guess it's just on the Xbox 360.
Exactly.
They haven't moved up.
It's a slow news week this week with Gamescom coming up next week, but we will slide on over into gaming news anyway. Jay, first story.
Slow news week, but interesting news week, I think, is the way it is. So if you haven't heard, EA is actually unveiling an Xbox One only, by the way. No PS in this subscription service called EA Access, and it's only $5 a month. So pretty good deal. Following the success, of course, of Xbox Live Gold and PlayStation Plus, EA has unveiled its own Xbox One exclusive service dubbed EA Access. So for a very cheap, I would say, $5 a month or $30 for the whole year, EA basically gives you EA Access subscription, and it's granting you pretty much all you can play access to the publisher's biggest Xbox One games, which for now, keep in mind for now, includes Battlefield 4, Peggle 2, FIFA 14, and Madden NFL 25. So that's the current roundup. It's 4 games, but they have said that there's more on the way, which is good to know. EA plans to, of course, add to this selection, as I said, over time. And according to a Game Informer tweet, the publisher also has no plans currently to remove content in the future. So I think a lot of people were worried that I spend the $5, I want to play Madden, I turn on the system one day, and Madden is gone, which does kind of make it hard to know or hard to justify if you don't want to spend that money. So far, no plans to remove the games. EA, of course, in addition to the gratis games, EA Access members receive a 10% discount, which is not bad, on all of EA's digital Xbox One content and are granted access to big EA releases up to 5 days prior to the official debut. This is really cool, too. So any big game that comes out 5 days before everyone else gets it, if you're spending the $5 a month, you get early access. I'm not so sure if it's overpriced yet, but we'll get into that. Keep in mind that there are, of course, caveats to this promotion, as there are with pretty much any promotion. EA describes that early access has a limited trial and not access to the full game. Further, according to the fine print, Titanfall, of course, one of their biggest exclusives, is excluded from all of these EA Access features. So big games, that's a big deal. That's a little bit of a red flag, because if you're spending the money, you expect to get features for all their games, and already they've sort of cut some of those out and said, no, these are exclusives. Of course, an Xbox Live Gold subscription is required for online multiplayer, so on top of that, you must have that, but not for the EA Access itself, which is, I guess, kind of cool. So what do you think about this? I actually think this is a good deal for $5.
I think it's
believe
awesome.
it or not. Yeah, I think it's awesome.
Never like anything EA says. Like whenever they say something, I feel like it's always a money grab, and I think that
me too.
Hey, this is sort of a money grab because it's playing on stuff that's, you know, a little older and falling off the radar. But everybody knows that the big thing with EA is a year or two after a game is out, they start shutting down servers for these things.
The bait and switch.
Even games like a football game, where for all intents and purposes, every Madden game ever could be client to client. There's no real, the host advantage in a football game would be so slim, if anything. But still, they're like, oh, all the games go through our servers. And they do that not because it's required. It's because then 2 years later, they can shut it down and be like, oh, you want to keep playing football? You got to get the latest Madden. So, you know, I kind of see a benefit to this. I don't know.
My thing is, like, can you really – I know – and like there's so – this is the funny thing is there's so much EA hate, which I totally think is justified, by the way, because it's like they've done enough. But there's so much EA hate that even in the face of this being a good deal, if this was any other company – and it was $5 a month, you'd probably, if this was Steam and it was $5 a month, people would be like, oh my God, I want to find Gabe and I want to grab his chubby little dick, because that is how people are with that company. Now,
everybody hates EA.
They just hate EA. And no matter what, $30 for the year, I guarantee you sometime in your lifetime, you have made a huge mistake on the game you have purchased. And that game was more than likely $60. $30 for a 1 year mistake, I think is probably worth it. Even if you're only playing Madden for, let's say, a month, you'll probably get that $30 value within that month.
Well, let's say you're not even playing any of the games. Let's say that you hate all the old games or you already own them. To pay $30 for the year, and now you're starting to reap in this 10% discount on digital downloads of games, you're getting to play all of your games 5 days early. So, yeah, it's a trial, and then you still have to go buy the game after that, but you buy it at 10% off. But let's say it's a game that has some sort of leveling and progression system. Well, now you've got a 5-day advantage over everybody else. You've played for 5 days. You built up your fucking character. You buy the game when it comes out. Instead of paying $60, you're paying $54. And now you're 5 days ahead of everybody. Like, I don't see a downside to this.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean,
for $30 a year, it's so cheap.
This is the thing. It's like, I still see there's the complaints in chat. I totally get it. People are still like, it's I don't want it, which is fair. But I mean, if I was never going to play Madden, I never had the intent to play Madden, but then one day I wanted to, whatever. Let's say
you and I want to stream Madden one night.
Yeah, let's say a bunch of buddies come over and we're ready to have a Madden party. For $5, I'm pretty much in. I could go around and get $1 from each guy, and I'm playing Madden in like 5 seconds. I mean, I just don't see a huge downside to that. It could be a terrible deal eventually. Maybe they rip Madden from you at some point, but again, you're only out the $5, or worst case, $30. And if after a year you finally get fucked over, that's a long period of time before you finally be like, oh man, they really got me there for that $30. I just don't. I don't know. I don't see a problem.
I still feel like you would get your $30 worth.
Yeah, like you still win. Like even if they pull all the games in a year, you still had 4 games for $30. I don't know.
I don't understand. I know, like I want to hate EA too. Like I just want to, but I can't justify hating them here. I'm sorry.
I mean, I'll agree. Like they have, I think Deep in our chat had like a comment of saying they had Titanfall like on their marketing materials, and Titanfall is not excluded. That's the EA we know. So I'm not surprised by that.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if part of that came from the whole deal they have, like, because Titanfall is not a normal EA property.
Right.
Part of the deal that Respawn made was, that there wouldn't be in-game microtransactions. They would be in control of the DLC pricing and releases, and they would do free updates to the game and push out new content for free. And they didn't want to be tied to EA. And I believe part of that, and I may be wrong on this, but I believe part of that was that the server stuff that were normally EA is in control of those servers.
Yeah, that's Respawn.
Because Respawn deals directly with Microsoft and the Xbox team with the cloud server stuff, that those are not going to go away. So you'll still be able to play Titanfall in 5, 7, 9 years, unlike every other EA game. So Titanfall, despite being published by EA, is not really an EA game. EA spent the money to have it as their flagship game, and they take the cut of the profits, but it's not an EA game. It should not be part of this because it's not built in the same ecosystem of fucking you over like every other EA game.
Yeah. Publisher only.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a big difference. Huge difference.
Yes.
So anyway, if you're into this, you got some quarters in your couch, you can get on this deal.
I am all over this fucking shit.
All right, next story. And this one was originally, we were unsure, but now I think we've pretty much guaranteed that this is going to happen. The white Xbox One that you've probably heard about, they give it away to employees back in the day. They're going to release a white Xbox One coming to retailers sometime, I believe, in October. And originally this was via VG247, but I believe right before the show went on, The Verge had an article that pretty much confirmed it. And so basically, if you've been holding out to buy an Xbox One because maybe the black version was boring for you or some weird thing, you can, of course, dust off your wallets and prepare yourself because there is apparently an outed version, a retail version that has been outed, which again we said is confirmed now by Verge, that there will in fact be a white Xbox One. The box has up to now been reserved only, as I said before, for the employees of Microsoft. So it is basically going to become bundled. This is interesting because Sunset Overdrive is a game that we've kind of been following. I didn't know it had this much power behind it, but they're actually going to be bundling this white Xbox with Sunset Overdrive. And they're going to be bundled together for around the same price, $399. That's basically what they're saying. Yeah. So if you've had like no reason, or if you had like, you're just wondering, hey, should I wait? And you want something cool, you probably should wait till October until you get this. If not, you go out and buy an Xbox One now. Of course, Sony's also getting ready to launch its white PS4 in Europe. So we can assume Microsoft is going to try to announce this probably at Gamescom next week. I think what happened is they've sort of had to announce it. They had all these photos coming out. And if you can see right here, we've got a photo up on my screen that were leaked. And now they basically have gone ahead and confirmed it anyway. So what do you think about it? Like, does anyone care about a white Xbox? I don't want a white Xbox.
I like now that I have all the black stuff. Like there was a while where my shit looked weird because I had white Xboxes. And then the big selling point of where was what did they call the first black 360? It was the
Elite? Was that the first
the Elite?
one? The Elite?
Yeah, the Elite. And you're like, oh, here's the Elite. It's black. It matches all my shit. Now it matches my cable box, matches my fucking giant ass tuner, matches all my shit in my cabinet there. And then then they move up to the Slim, and the Slim is perfect and beautiful and black, and everything's perfect and everything fits. And now they're like, oh, let's give them white again. Like, does anybody really want white stuff? It doesn't match anything anywhere. Yeah. Like, look at your TV right now. And I'm sure some of you are in a room. Everything in your room is not white. Like, there's probably very few peripherals, unless you have some shitty Wii product under there. Nothing is white.
My Wii is black. See, I got a black Wii. Everything now, I think there's been like this. Maybe they got together and high-fived or whatever. I don't know. But most of the systems are black, and now they're all just deciding like, oh, let's do white just cause. So I suppose
now they get a white their load.
Together, yeah, they're like, we got to do white.
Black, you got to go back. Like,
it's very strange. Once you go black, you go white eventually. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't make sense.
It's one of those things. If it's a way to drum up a little bit more hype. If you haven't bought the system yet, maybe now you're excited because you're gonna look different than all the other ones. You'll be a nice, unique little snowflake in your house. You'll be different than anyone else.
I guess the only upside is if you were gonna ever buy a console and paint it yourself, it's probably easier to paint over a white console than a black. Yeah. Like if some kind of fucking artist, and if you are, let us know if you want to do something cool for us. But if you're some kind of artist you want to paint over, it's a lot harder to paint over a dark color than a light color. That's why they invented primer.
Well, and they do this too because people do freak out about these things. Like if you've been following the Destiny side of things, where that white PS4 is coming from, they sold out like immediately. Like they're already gone, and the system's not even there yet. Yeah, so people they freak out about this stuff. They all want to have that special system. Like even he wants the Halo MCC Xbox One. I don't care. I want an Xbox. That's all I care about.
Yeah. I want it to work, and I want them all over the house. That's all I ask
That's
for.
It, yeah.
I don't care what they look like.
Can I get two instead of just the one white one? That's,
Spread throughout the house. Back in the last gen, we had 3 white original Xbox 360s, 1 Elite, and 2 the Slims. So
right.
You have a variety pack. You got to spread them out. But yeah, it doesn't matter what they look like as long as they're black.
That's racist. All right, next story. We're going back to Destiny because I feel like if we don't talk about Destiny at least once per show, then it's clearly not the right show.
Yeah, our audience loves Destiny, as we've learned.
So Motes of Light, this is interesting. Motes of Light are your ticket past level 20 in Destiny. This is via joystick. So although Bungie's open universe shooter Destiny features a soft progression cap at level 20, Guardians can continue to grow their abilities thanks to collectibles that are dubbed Motes of Light. So if you've ever played an MMO before, basically Motes of Light are like Valor badges or things that you get where you can buy gear and like beef up your character later. According to Bungie, these characters will be unable to gather experience points in the traditional murderous ways beyond level 20, but they can boost their effective level by gathering these Motes of Light. If you find enough of these motes, and the speaker found in the tower will exchange it for currency for new gear that you can then boost your stats with. So it's basically like you go out, you fight, you do the normal things you're doing at level cap in Destiny. Things will drop these Motes of Light. You collect them. They become currency that you then go to the tower and you buy gear and you level up your character. He's always level 20, but his stats go up. It's a very sort of normal thing in an RPG world. So if you're used to RPGs, same as pretty much everything you've ever played. This won't actually, of course, change your in-game level, but the better gear will, of course, boost your stats of your level 20. Then you'll be able to effectively tackle more, hard missions. And the way this works in most MMOs or most other RPGs is you need the gear eventually at level 20 so that when they release new content of harder raids, harder points, harder MMO, just new content, you need to have better gear so you can take down these bosses. And this is sort of the end game level of the way they do things, what they call Elder Game in MMOs. So this is their version of Elder Game. IGN compiled a look at the later game character, boosting the effective level of him to about a 29 to demonstrate how progression would work at level 20. So what do you think about this? I mean, this is it's so much more MMO than I thought. And when I hear this, it's
for us that have played MMOs, it definitely fits the model for us. Like we've done this before. I managed to break free. You were stuck in a lot longer than me, but I did this more times than I want to admit that I did, where we got to max level and we a couple nights a week you raid and wipe, read, let's go, wipe, let's go again, wipe, let's go. Wow, fucking boss down, we're fucking gods. I think that's an actual quote, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
I believe I screamed that at the top of my lungs at 4 a.m. once. But so it's good to see that there's enough MMO blood behind Destiny that they really pulled this in and they said, okay, you know what? Right now, we're not going to do the traditional. Let's cap it at level 60. They're leaving themselves plenty of room for this. Cap it at 20. You can, using these moats, you can buy fancy gear that essentially gears you up almost 10 levels above where you are. So then new content comes out. Let's say there's some DLC for Destiny that increases the level cap to 30, and there's all these new raids and all this new content. Well, now you're because you put the time in the end game, you're that far ahead where you can kind of blow through the single player content or co-op if you want. And those next raids, you actually can be competitive in without having to grind for gear or grind these levels. Because the other option is in MMOs, someone stops at 20, they don't do any of the end game content. Then they release the DLC, they up the level cap to 30. Well, now to go do the end content there, you can't just jump right in that. You have to actually level up all the way to 30. So there's two different ways to go about it, and MMO players know this, but it's definitely good to see this come to Destiny and to see it in an FPS. I'm just I can't say enough good stuff about this game. I can't.
No, me neither. Like, this should be good. I think a lot of people reacting very strange to this in the sense that they figure like, oh, so there's only 20 levels. This sucks. But this is a good thing in the MMO world. So, and the reason is simple. It means that they are planning for content, because people have said, and this was a big thing even when we did our stream, a lot of media people took up our stream and sort of commented on it and made stories on it. We were on IGN. We were on a couple other bigger places, and of course Reddit as well, where they said, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of content in Destiny. But when they plan like this for these moats, and they plan on your character being able to progress beyond a level that is your final level, that means they are obviously and for sure going to put new content in, because that's how they do their level progression. As you throw harder and harder bosses, you need your gear to then reflect that to be able to take down those bosses. So it's great. It means that they've got a path that they're ready to go on. They've got the content clearly there, and they're going to support it in the future. And that's, to me, a good thing. So this type of a story is more telling to me. It means they're ready to support that game.
Well, you're talking about the Destiny whiners. Like, that's the thing I don't understand, because in any other shooter game, you're either playing the campaign, you're leveling up, or you're going into matchmaking, where your level usually only affects who you get match made against. In Destiny, if there was one thing I would nitpick about Destiny, it's that your gear and your level really affect multiplayer. It's more like arena in MMOs than it is traditional matchmaking where everybody is in a level playing field. If you played the Destiny beta at all and you went in there anything below level 8, you were instantly ass fucked. You stood no chance in hell, because you're up against a bunch of level 8s. Everybody could one-shot you. It was a bloodbath. So at least in this case, you play the game, you level up to level 20 and whatever that takes you, whether it's a week, 2 weeks, whatever. And now you can evenly compete with everybody else in the multiplayer arena for as long as you want, the Crucible, for as long as you want. And if you never want to pick up the DLC and never move beyond that, that's fine. But if you do, well, now you have the end game content and you have all this beyond that. So I don't understand the complaints.
Yeah, it's definitely a good thing overall. So
yep, agreed.
Don't be a whiny baby. All right, next story. This one's a weird one. So Tropico 4, which I actually have on Steam, or Tropico 5. I have Tropico 4 on Steam. Tropico 5 from, and I can't say the name, Himamont Games, has been banned in Thailand as the military government in Thailand believes that the game's storyline, quote, might affect the peace and order in the country. Video game. Thailand has been under military dictatorship for the last couple of months since the civilian government was overthrown in a coup. Now, the Associated Press reports that according to video game distributor New Era Thailand, sales of Tropico 5 are being blocked in that country. In Tropico 5, if you don't know, you play as a president who is able to rule over his country with an iron fist, controlling the media, LOL, and generally making your own rules. Kind of fits a certain country we're talking about. Quote, in the 5th installment, the storyline has developed further, and there might be some part of it that's not appropriate for the current situation in Thailand. The distributor's marketing manager, and I'm going to butcher this name, Nanglak Shavavanta Pongapo Po Pee Pop Poo Poo.
That is the closest you've ever got to a name the way that it's written.
It is literally a 5-sentence name. This guy needs to cut it down.
It has hyphens on Google Docs here. It's multiple lines. So yeah.
There's some lines, some slashes. Anyway,
this is
So
this is crazy. Like, so they're banning Tropico 5 in Thailand. Now this is a country known to us here, and the running jokes are, you want to go fuck kids, fuck little boys. You go to Thailand, you want to go, kill someone, for 25 cents. Go to Thailand, they'll sell you someone to kill. This is a country that has no rules. And meanwhile, they're like, oh, Tropico 5, this game.
It's a little too hardcore.
They talk about maybe overthrowing a dictator in this game. So I think we're going to ban this shit. But you know what? Here, give me your $20. You can go fuck that boy over there. Like, I don't understand this at all. It's, you know what I mean? It's like the same people that argue like violence is bad and nudity is bad, but violence is fine on TV, but violence is bad in video games. And it's one of those dichotomies where, things that are here are okay, but not okay here. And I just don't understand it. That country is so fucked up in every way, shape, or form. There's a reason why it's always used in movies as a backdrop for fucked up shit, because it's fucked up. It's
only fucked up shit happens in Thailand. You don't go there to have a relaxing vacation.
Yeah, no one's I went to Thailand, we played some Parcheesi, and then we came home. It was a good time. No.
You're either abducting someone or they're abducting you. At some point during your stay, someone's getting abducted. Yeah. That's it. That's part of the equation.
It's not a happy-go-lucky place. And that's crazy. Like, the government stepped in to ban a game that they thought would rile up their citizens to then coup again against the government. It is
not like, have you guys seen Tropico 5? We could totally take this guy.
How many people even play Tropico? I know Jay's playing it, but that's only half of the hosts of this show.
I believe so, yeah.
I believe 50%. Of all the people that are watching tonight, there's probably 1% of people that are playing a Tropico game.
Well, I got Tropico on Steam for like $1, and I actually haven't played it. I just have it. It's just currently installed on my computer. It's there.
It's installed, but you've never actually played it.
Yeah, I could play it, but I'm afraid to now because I eventually want to go to Thailand. So,
yeah, you got that boy date there.
Well, it's just cheap. It's like getting an EA Access deal for Thailand.
Yeah, exactly.
It's $5 a month.
Yeah, it's for Thailand.
Deal.
Yes,
$20 a year. Love it. Anyway, Smooth, what do you think about the story?
Jay, this story has me saying, what the fuck? And on that, why don't we hop on over to the mailbag and voicemails? Altius asks, the big buzz on the internet this week is the lack of matchmaking support for Destiny's 6-man endgame raids. The overall consensus is that this is a huge mistake. What are your thoughts? Well, I know my thoughts.
I agree.
I agree also. It's a huge mistake.
I think it's a huge, huge mistake. I think when you say the word raid to anyone that has any sort of, even if they're not full-on raiders in MMOs, they haven't done all this stuff, a raid is like a large group of people. Let's say, just for this sake, more than 10. Yep. And normally for me or Derek, that'd be 40 or 20 or 25 within there. So it's not really a raid. Like a raid is 6 people is essentially just a party. And it's not even a large party. I mean, we're used to, even in shooters, of having larger parties that are 6 to 12. 12 being really more of the big team battle-y type of stuff anyway. So for this to be, I was shocked when, and they told us even on our stream that it was 6. I was really shocked that it was going to be this low. Yeah. I was hoping that it was sort of a starter thing and it might grow to be bigger, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. And I think that's a huge, huge bummer. I mean, I really do think that's a bummer.
I was bummed out by both parts. I was bummed out by the number 6 to begin with, and I was bummed out by the fact there's no matchmaking support because, so for those of you unfamiliar with raiding, these are a session where you're planning on sitting down for a minimum of an hour, usually 2 hours, sometimes 4, 6 hours to hammer through some content. So unless you have a bank of friends that you're ready to go in with you and 5 other friends, there's no way, there's no means that Bungie is providing here to bring in other people with you unless you come with your own 5 friends.
I think that's okay. Too. That's where I think it's okay. The one thing I hate, to be honest with you, is I feel like raiding is something to be done with friends. I do not want to have some fucking Joe Schmo in my party to do a raid with for 3 hours. I actually don't. One of the things that killed World of Warcraft for me was when they introduced LFR, which was raiding with randoms. It was the worst thing that's ever happened in the game. It's why I've since left that game. Because it turns out that when you don't know somebody and you want to when you want to really work cooperatively and take direction, because someone's got to usually lead in these situations.
Someone's got to be the leader.
No one wants to be the leader. Someone wants to be the leader. 2 people.
No one wants to be the bitch.
No one wants to lead. It's a clusterfuck. So for the only saving grace is I feel like if I'm going to go into this, I'm going to go in a party with my tool to play buddies, all my friends, and we're going to go do the content.
Well, however, I agree. For us, it's fine, but you have to look at this from the overall perspective. They're selling this game as Bungie, as a shooter, to all this huge audience that's been Bungie fans for years for Halo. Some of these guys, they're lone wolves, like a guy like T-Man. T-Man, although he seems like he's our buddy, he's more of a lone wolf. He does his own thing. So T-Man's going to go in there at night, not going to message any of his tool to play buddies. He's just going to want to go in. He's going to match up with 5 randoms and fucking raid. And, you need to provide that service for people that don't have friends. That's,
I suppose.
You can't count on everybody playing your game to have 5 people to do these epic multi-hour sessions with. And
I'll only say this. All MMOs since before World of Warcraft and their shitty LFR, which I think hurt the game, have been able to do that with 40 or more people. So if they're able to hold, if you can get 40 of your friends together and go raid, you certainly can go get 5. That's all I'm saying.
I guess it all depends on how well, and we set up the tool to play community on Bungie's on Bungie.net. We've got that in there. We have the PS, the PlayStation side, the Xbox side. It really depends on how that integrates in the game and how you can message people in your community. And we don't know a lot about that part because maybe if you join a community and it has 50, 100, 200 people in it, maybe it's easy to pull 5 people out of there. Maybe there's some mechanism in the game that you can send a message and it goes to everybody in your community. Hey, who wants to come in? You build up a party that way, because that's really why you can do 40-man raids otherwise, because you have some mechanism outside of the game, whether it's a forum or whatever, where you can build up your groups and what nights you're going to raid and whatever else. But unless that portion of Bungie's website facilitates this, then it's a shortcoming. If not, because then a lone wolf can just join any one of these groups. There's plenty of open groups out there. You can go join an IGN, a GameSpot group. Those guys just want numbers. They don't give a shit who's who.
Yeah, they're not going to try to learn your name or anything like that. They don't really care.
They're just like, oh, you're here and you'll play? Let's go. Right. So we don't know a lot about that integration, and even the integration we saw so far was weird. Like, you couldn't name your group starting with a number, so we couldn't be Too Old to Play. So we had to be the Too Old to Play community, and then all of a sudden, halfway through the beta, the community word fell off, and it was just the Too Old to Play, and there's some weird shit going on there. So I hope that when the final release comes out, they have some of that shaken out, and we'll know what these community features are for bringing your overall clan and being able to message them and set up these groups. But at least right now, in my opinion, there seems to be some shortcomings here.
Yeah.
And I think we could agree. The 6 number is definite. That's
6 number is just is going to be brutal for me. And again, maybe it's okay, because 6 really, for me, if you come from an MMO world or even an RPG world, 6 or 5, that's a dungeon. That's a normal, and maybe that's okay. That's really what we're talking about here. A small dungeon, that's fine. That's not a big deal. It's just when they said raid and there were numbers being shot around even a month ago, even at E3, numbers were being shot around. They were said 20 to 40.
Yeah, so the guy that I talked to in my behind closed doors said 20. So 20. Maybe these guys are just accidentally telling us stuff that is not going to make it at launch. Maybe these are things that like whatever raid they were working on is something that's going to come out in the first DLC, and then that's going to increase the number to 20 or whatever. And that's distinctly possible. In the multiplayer, you go in the Crucible, they can handle a lot more than 6 players.
Right.
So, just put 2 and 2 together. You got to kind of read between the lines a little bit. Yeah. But the fact that Bungie employees told us something, it's not what's originally coming out, doesn't mean it's not necessarily ever going to come out.
Yeah. We'll have to wait and see.
World of Warcraft didn't start with 40-man raids. It started with 5-man instances.
Yeah, but they had a 40-man within like 2 months. But still.
Yeah.
Still.
We'll see what happens.
Wait and see.
All right. Well, great question, Altius. You actually got us going against each other this time, which is very rare.
It is.
We had half agreement, half...
yeah, it's like a 50-50.
Yeah. It's the best you can hope for.
Yeah, I'm okay.
If we ever throw punches, then you did a good job, Altius.
Right.
All right. Well, if any of you have feedback, just call 773-527-2961. Email us at podcast@tooltoplay.com. You can also comment in this episode's thread on the Tool to Play homepage. And sponsors! Remember, by supporting our sponsors, you help to support Still Got Game. GoDaddy, starting less than $5 a month. Web hosting from GoDaddy.com includes 99% uptime, 24/7 support, and free access to the GoDaddy hosting connection. That's the place to quickly install over 50 applications like WordPress, Joomla, Drupal, EROS, Commerce, and more. Go to toolplay.com/GoDaddy for great deals on new .com registrations and renewals starting just $1.99. Some restrictions apply. See site for details. Get your piece of the internet at GoDaddy.com. And if you'd like to sponsor us, same number, 773-527-2961. Same email, podcast@toolplay.com. Tell us what you're selling. We'll tell you you're going to pay us. You'll pay us. We'll sell it. Boom. Done. Twitter us up. You can find everything Tool to Play related at twitter.com/Tool to Play. Everything podcast related at twitter.com/still_got_game. King of the internet, god of everything that's fucking holy. I'm at twitter.com/Derek Nolan.
And of course, you can find me at twitter.com/DudeIRock.
Facebook the fuck out of us. Facebook.com/Tool to Play. Facebook.com/Derek Nolan.
Facebook.com/DudeIRock.
Oh, such delivery. He's so pro. We also have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/Tool to Play. Go there. You get all of Tool to Play's video content, whether it's our weekly shows like Still Got Game, whether it's one-offs. We have a whole bunch of one-off shows. We have some shows that are currently on hiatus, like Thick and Thin with LB and Duty. We have a special show that Hitman does whenever a new game comes out. He gets it at midnight. He does a special release where he, fucking masturbates all over for a little while. It's called Hits Motherfucking Quit. And
wow.
I've just reduced that to exactly what it's all about. That's the sound Hit makes while he's playing the. Actually, he makes that sound when he's come back from the store. We don't even get that part in this car. He's like, and then he opens the game, crinkle, crinkle, crinkle. Then finally, when he plays the game at midnight, you were just like, and he's like, and it's Hit's motherfucking.
He's Chewbacca apparently at the end.
But yeah, so Hit does a great job with that. If you want to see something at midnight and you want to know whether the next morning you want to go ahead and pick it up, Hit's the guy to check out. And that's Hit's motherfucking quit hit, motherfucking quit hit, motherfucking quit hit, motherfucking hit.
I think you should do one for Last of Us. I'm making a formal request.
Yeah, I'd like to see a little bit of Last of Us, but start at the beginning because I really don't want to see later on in the story. Just give everybody a teaser hit. Just bust out some Last of Us.
Just a tip.
Yeah, just give us the tip.
Just a tip, just to see how it feels.
Yeah, movies do that all the time. Come see the first 10 minutes at Comic-Con. Well, you know what? Give them the first 10 inches of the tip. That's a big fucking tip.
It's a huge tip.
All right. Also, we have an app. It's on the iTunes App Store, and it's on the fake Android, black market, fucking Indiana Jones kind of CC flies and all that kind of shit there. No, you can get our app. You can get all the Tool to Play content, whether it's our homepage stories, whether it's all of our video content. You'll be notified of all that from our app. It's absolutely free. Just go to the iTunes App Store, pull it down for free, or however method you get your fucking freaky shit on Android. Please rate and review our podcast on iTunes. We need 5 stars, and we need some sort of positive reviews. Like we said in the past, each time this show changed names, we did switch RSS feeds. We made a new thing in iTunes, and we lost all of our history of positive 5-star reviews and awesome comments. So if you comment in the past, this is one of the few times you can actually go back and comment again. You can't do that usually, but this is a new show. So you can go back there and give us a comment. Jay, what's a good comment someone can give? Just 2 sentences. Something awesome.
Just 2 sentences?
Yeah.
I didn't know that Jesus really existed until I found him in Still Got Game. Simple.
Boom.
Simple.
That's minimum effort. It's not like I asked you to do a paragraph. 2 sentences. And Jay,
you just found God inside of our podcast. Yep.
2 sentences is all it takes.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And if for some reason, like after you click the 5-star thing, it's like click and your finger snaps and you can't type anymore. Well, I guess that's okay. You can elbow the save and then go to the hospital. But if you didn't break anything, we really would like you to type something up.
Well, at least hit save before you go to the hospital. Don't. Yeah. You're fine.
It would mean a lot to us. Definitely save the 5 stars in there. And if you at all can, please write something nice because it really means a lot to us. And as in the past, it wouldn't be the first time we've gone through our reviews and randomly selected someone for a prize. So I'm not saying it's happening. I'm not saying it's not, but you can't win if you don't enter.
We trick you with giving you free shit.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Also, we have a twitch.tv/Tool to Play. That's our channel on Twitch TV. We have a decent amount of followers there. Definitely come on over, follow us. And each time, whether you're using your Twitch TV app on your iPhone, whether you get it via email, however, you get a little notification that says Tool to Play has just gone live. And whether it'll tell you what we went live with. It'll be like Hitman streaming Last of Us 1080p 60 frames a second, first 10 minutes, just the tip, or Destiny beta, or whatever else we're streaming. Still Got Game. It'll let you know whatever it is. So go to twitch.tv/Tool to Play, follow us there, and you will not be displeased. Last but not least, I want to remind each and every one of you, every Monday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, we are live here, twitch.tv/Tool to Play for Still Got Game. And we have a chat room. That is where the bulk of talk happens. We kind of covered a little bit during the show. Sometimes we don't. But someone is always addressing it. Whether, when I'm talking, Jay's addressing it. When Jay's talking, I'm addressing it. Sometimes Hit's addressing it when he's not so baked. Like right now, he actually is like sitting up. He's looking at the screen. I feel like he knows what's going on. He's lucid. Or at least he has the appearance of being lucid. So he's typing in chat. Like I see him typing. Other times, Hit's sitting back. He's got this vape. He's hanging back there. He's got this big fucking balloon full of fucking smoke. And that's not the time to type to Hit. But
no,
someone is always watching that. When Hit's doing that, we make sure one of us is covering it because he cannot be trusted. It's surprising that we even have backgrounds behind us during this show. Like, I don't even know what's behind me right now. But I'm hoping.
I think it's just a giant dick. I think that's Hit. Why don't you Hit? You have power to do that, by the way. This is why I do my own backgrounds because I don't want a giant penis in back of me.
Yeah, it would be horrible. But no. All right. Well, I guess on that, Jay, why don't we wrap this episode up? I am Derek D. Smooth Nolan.
I am Joel Dude. I rock Albert.
Don't forget to check out the Everyday Gamers podcast this week to learn all about Tool to Play, past and future.